Hey, it's Jack here, a 24-year-old graphic designer based in England. Every single week, I want to present to you my top 3 takeaways from a different graphic design orientated book. Why? Because 1, I want to teach you something about graphic design you didn't already know. 2, I want to motivate you to design. And then 3, I want to inform you about what books you should get your hands on. If all that good stuff appeals, then subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you know when I'm dropping the next video. Today, I want to present to you this book called Designing Brand Identity by Alina Wheeler. This book is so densely packed with information, I actually really struggled to condense this down to make a video about it. But if you're interested in designing brand identity, I would highly recommend getting this book, obviously after watching my video. But it's so good. So with coronavirus happening at the moment, obviously it's a really destructive time and there's deaths, employment, imminent recession. It's not looking good. But if you had to look at the bright side, hopefully you've got a bit more free time so that you can focus on maybe setting up a business that you've always wanted to set up, or potentially learning a new skill as a graphic designer to offer brand workshops to clients. So I hope that this video appeals to those two groups of people who maybe have more free time on their hands than they may have thought they would have at this time of year. Last week I didn't quite manage to cram all that information into 1 minute per point. Sorry about that, went a bit over, stealing your time. But this week I've worked really hard to try and cram all that information in. So without further ado, let's start the clock. Point number 1 is know thyself. Be authentic and embrace differences. Organisations that know what they stand for and know who they are when they start the design process are designing from a position of strength because they are creating genuine and sustainable brands. Before any designing should happen whatsoever, there needs to be a strategy in place in order to understand what the brand essence is, what is authentic about this brand, and then embrace those differences. At the start, think about what's the brand mission? What are the cultural values of the brand? What are the key words associated with the brand? What's the brand personality? What's a user profile of the ideal customer that's coming to use this product, service, or company? These are the key questions that must be answered to discover what the USP is, what the unique selling point is that's going to differentiate you from any of your competitors. So before anyone needs to think about what the logo is going to look like, there needs to be a thought process about the strategy to get to that. Strategy first, design second. Takeaway number 2 is a strong brand identity is a coherent brand identity. So a customer may come into contact with a service, product, or company through a touch point. A touch point is simply when the customer may interact with this product, service, or company. So it might be social media marketing, it might be an advertisement on a billboard, it might be packaging on the shelf. Each touch point is an opportunity to increase brand loyalty. So it is vital that there is a coherent identity so that the customer has a familiar experience. This will include visual identity, which means photography, typefaces, colors. All of these things need to be consistent so that the brand can be recognizable to the customer. In addition, there needs to be a dynamic, unified voice. So what that means is that the messaging is all consistent as if it's from the same person. It needs to be clear and simplistic language. It needs to be understood by everyone that sees it, that it is recognizably that brand. The final takeaway from this book, point 3, is that the brand assets need to be managed after the brand identity is created. If you don't manage these assets correctly and follow guidelines, then ultimately it doesn't matter if you spent millions doing a rebrand project and have worked every single aspect out unless those assets are used correctly. So in conclusion then, 1, know thyself. Okay, so embrace differences and be authentic. If you haven't worked out the answer to your USP before starting a brand identity project, there's no point in doing it at all. 2, be coherent. You need a brand identity system that works across all these different touch points and is consistent and coherent. If not, the customer is going to be confused and it's going to be a really weak identity system. And then 3, manage these assets. There's no point in doing a brand identity system unless every single employee knows how to use all these different assets and when to use them. It's crucial so that your brand identity system is not diluted after actually spending all this money doing a brand identity system. So I hope that video was really helpful, guys. If it was, comment below. If it wasn't, also comment below, just slate me. Love a bit of that. You definitely should be subscribed and also hitting that notification bell so that you know when there's going to be more content dropping, which is going to happen every single week. So you definitely want to do that. Come on. I'm going to put links below to books, to extra resources. I'm going to put a link to Haley Jordan's Skillshare course, which is all about the unique selling proposition. So if you want to find out specifically how to create a business that sells and works, then I should definitely recommend you watching that. It's so useful. I'm not getting paid to say that, just so you know, I personally think you should watch it. So I hope this gives you a bit more direction when you're doing your designs or offering brand identity to clients, and I'll see you next week. All right, bye.